Yeah. Just so you keep an eye on it, make sure everything looks and sounds good. I'll really found it real quick.
Get all set up here.
Yeah, just get on YouTube. She is,
We can get really meta, man.
huh?
We can get really meta. We can watch ourselves live stream.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. See? I got us live streaming.
Nice. This is like really shaky.
I know. There you go. There's like a 6-second delay or something, man. I don't know. It's kind of crazy. What's up, Donnie?
Just making sure that the audio and stuff, I've got headphones there, make sure it all sounds good and like we're not looking all
Hold up.
funky.
I want to check something here. Oh, it's still going here.
And you might adjust the camera left to right. Just pan it just a little bit towards me. What's that shadow coming from? There's a shadow on me. Do you see that? It's the bar.
Yeah. I was worried about that.
Too far, Donnie. Too far. Oh, anyway. Hang on. I'm waiting for it to catch up.
There we go.
Wait.
Moved it back and forth a bit.
Yeah, wait for it. You got as long as the background's showing, you can flip that around if you need to see it up there on the deal. Yeah, let me help her real quick.
Well,
Okay.
it's just because it's like, it's like showing it on the screen.
Flip that around if you need to see it up there on the deal.
Sorry, it like lagged when it was moving. So
It's fine.
it's like you might need to move
You
it.
may need to move things like just like an inch or two that way.
This way?
Yeah, towards you, and then.
Okay.
As we're live streaming, everybody's like walking and seeing us. I'm gonna lift this up and tilt it down.
Okay. Well, I mean, we could move it over there and point it this way.
Yeah, we can try to do that.
Yeah, why don't we do that?
Hey, Don, we could stop streaming for a minute, you think? Or you want to
Nah, keep streaming.
Okay.
We're just doing setups. I'd rather have this all recorded so we can see what syncing looks like and all that good stuff. Nah, I got it. I'd rather have this all recorded so we can see what syncing looks like and all that.
There we go. And then,
Donnie, can you see the microphone in the shot? Okay. Point it back there, Donnie. Can you see the microphone in the shot?
well, let's see. We're gonna have to raise it up a little bit, or it's still in the shot. There we go.
That way. Can you still see it, Donnie?
No.
No.
There we go.
That should work. And then the shadow comes off of you.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't hit you.
It shouldn't. Because I should be filled in. Because it's different.
Yep. Shaking the whole thing here.
It should. Because I should be filled in. Because it's different.
Shaking the whole thing here.
There's a little shadow on the back.
Yeah, there's still a little shadow on the back.
Yeah.
What do you think? Turn the.
I think we'll probably want to just put the soft boxes on for the day.
Okay.
That'll cut that out. You won't even see it.
Still a shadow on the corner of my.
think we'll probably want to just put the soft boxes on for the day. I'm gonna. That'll cut that out.
I think lighting wise it looks good.
Yeah, I do too.
Other than the shadows.
And our shiny foreheads.
Yeah.
Need to keep some powder.
See if I can pick up some powder. What's that ringing noise? Is it ringing for you?
No, it's
Might mute your phone, see if it'll.
Let me mute this. Where's the mute button? Come on.
So let's turn my volume down on my phone.
Yeah, I'll just do it that way then.
There.
Okay. Just make sure it says phone that was ringing and not something with the setup.
Yeah.
So. Awesome. We have 2 people watching. I don't know who it is, but.
Us.
Oh, yeah.
You and me.
Oh, it's. Yeah. Hello, you and me. You and me. Hi. What's going on? Does she hit start record?
It's already recording. As soon as you
Oh.
start streaming, it starts recording.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Do we sound okay?
Yep.
Do we sound like we're in a cathedral or?
Sound like echo of the room or anything like that, or the fan in the background?
Can you hear the fan very subtly, but I mean your voices are very clear. And
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll probably turn too as we change how we're looking. Like if I'm looking at you talking versus looking at the camera talking, that's going to affect it quite a bit too. So cool. What are we talking about?
What was your head doing, bro?
Watching ourselves in delay. That's fun.
I know it is.
Here,
It's kind of weird.
Do it again. Watch it. Here we go. Oh, watch it. Catch eye.
Are you watching Randall like?
Yes.
You know, his head going back and forth.
I'm like delayed here. It's so great. Okay. Well, we should probably get serious. I'm actually gonna close this up for now.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Great. Awesome. For the world to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the fun of being live, right?
It is.
You never know
it
what's
is.
gonna happen.
We got to get set up.
Well, yeah, sure.
We've got to practice.
Yep. Test things.
Mm-hmm.
Now we just need to get it on Facebook and see what everybody in the world of Facebook says. That's what I'm not excited about.
Why?
Oh, Facebook. It's one of those things. It's a love-hate relationship. So much drama, yet so many good things come out of Facebook.
Agreed.
So,
Agreed.
Anyway.
But, yeah, we can stream on Facebook just using this.
True.
Yeah.
Makes it easy.
You know, we can just go out there right now and stream.
Yeah.
But I don't want to. I don't want to take the time to do that.
Yeah.
Donnie all done with listening to us?
Donnie's ducking out.
She's done.
Ah, there went our tech support. And if we crash, sorry guys.
Yeah.
She's even shutting the door behind her.
I know. Donnie's
us
done.
in here.
Yeah.
Locking us in. We're going to be live forever. Let us out, everybody.
So, obviously, we are testing out streaming equipment, testing out new setup here, making sure that we've got the internet set up properly, equipment set up properly, new mic set up.
Yep.
We're in the studio as opposed to where we were last week, which was in one of the conference rooms.
Yep. On just like the budget idea setup of how somebody could do that. So.
And this is, of course, for our live event on Thursday, and got a lot of great stuff planned for that.
Yep.
But
really
this is where the bulk of our conversation will happen.
Yep.
And as we were working on setting up audio, I think it's a great topic for us to discuss because audio is becoming such a huge part of
absolutely
the online mix. You think it's kind of a reversion if you think about it, right?
Yeah.
Back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, radio is it, right?
Oh,
and then you have TV come on, video is really big. You hear about the terrestrial radio stations starting to die, but what has really picked up over the last few years is audio.
Oh, absolutely.
Online.
Absolutely.
And I really think it's a play on time.
Yeah, it is. And I think audio is such an easy medium to ingest. You're throwing headphones. I see people walking around all around downtown, and they'll be just walking around with headphones on, walking around at Walmart or the grocery store or wherever, headphones on doing their grocery shopping. Easy to ingest.
Yeah. Well, and it's also about not having to sit in one place, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Not having to completely pay attention, but still able to get content.
Yeah.
And podcasting is just one aspect of audio, and we're starting to see more and more with waveform videos.
Yeah.
Those are a big thing on Facebook right now. We're starting to see more of them on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Twitter, and for those of the uninitiated who aren't aware of what waveform videos are, it's essentially what.
It's basically just a waveform, like you'd see in any sort of audio interface. Waveform just bouncing around at the bottom of a image of some kind, just as a backdrop, and so that's all it is. Pretty straightforward.
So it kind of gives you a little bit of a visual impact.
Something to grab your attention with your eyes.
Yeah. Now, audio is not just about music and waveforms and podcasts. Audio is becoming huge in other areas.
Yeah. I mean, you got to look at things like now, voice to text. I mean, being able to do, we got Siri now, we got Google's doing, Google Home, we've got, Alexa is huge right now as far as those options go.
So voice assistants.
Yeah, voice assistants.
Voice assistants. And, it seems like a novelty, I think, to a lot of people right now.
Yeah.
It's great. I can say, hey, Alexa, play my playlist.
And now everybody's Alexa just turned on.
Yeah. Hey, Alexa, say something bad. But, what you're really seeing, though, is the first step to, I think, a lot bigger automation.
Yes.
Everybody, I joke a lot about, we're still ages away from Jarvis, right?
Yeah.
Being a big Marvel fan myself. Jarvis is, I think, the embodiment of where, this audio movement is going to go.
Well, with anything technology, our sci-fi tends to drive our inspirations a lot, and I think, we're on the right track for things like that. We're starting to see some of those features. You'll be able to move things around to different environments really easily. You're starting to see, some of those different implementations, even if you want to go as far as Jarvis with, just being able to move your hand gestures. But the most important thing is getting the interface to understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
And that's, where the technology at right now is it's almost there. Like I feel like we're on that tipping edge where we're almost there to the point of I can say whatever I want and the other end's going to understand exactly what I mean, what I want it to do, and it's going to do it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think we're still a ways away from that vision, but there's many things that we still can do with Google Home, with Alexa skills, with Siri. And, Siri, I think, is the most limited of the three because they don't necessarily have an open API, and they're the ones that come up with all of the sorts of tasks. They kind of run their home, the Apple HomeKit. But with that said, I think audio assistants and audio speakers are becoming such a mainstream part of life, especially for millennials and for even Gen Xers. It's weird. I read a stat the other day. 68% of people who own a home assistant talk to it as if it were a friend.
Yeah.
Ask it questions like you would ask questions of a friend. Now, we're not there yet where it can hold a complete conversation with you, but at one point we will get there.
Yeah.
It will be able to understand you and give you responses.
For entertainment purposes, if you haven't seen it, there's a great SNL skit that they did with Alexa as I think it's for the baby boomers, essentially, and you're talking about how they talk to it as a friend.
Yeah.
Well, you can imagine, an older person not really fully understanding technology, sitting there having really interesting and funny conversations with an Alexa device, and so if you Google it, it's really good. So
yeah. Well, and obviously, we're more focused on how to use these to market with.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
While it was a really bad execution, do you remember when I think it was McDonald's or Burger King?
It was Burger King.
It was Burger King. They did the whole thing with Hey Google. And for those of you who don't know, we'll try and find that video and share it and link it up. But Burger King did a whole YouTube video, which at the end basically said, "Hey Google, what's in this burger?"
Something about the Whopper.
Something about the Whopper. Well, they took their results from Wikipedia. And Wikipedia, for those of you who don't know, you can go in and change stuff. So people were going and adjusting the Wikipedia entry for this, and sooner or later the burgers were made out of small children and cats and dogs.
It was horrible.
It was horrible. They had to pull it down. It was a very interesting implementation, but I think it taught them a lesson. Don't use something that people can change.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Which I think also scared a lot of people off from going avant-garde with some of their marketing and advertising from the audio sense. and really starting to integrate some of these new technologies with video, with audio. Now, we talk a lot about Alexa skills. I know we're both big on that as, you know, a future avenue for
great opportunity.
For really working with a brand, for really being able to communicate back and forth with a brand, and for brands to have a really simple way to get people to reorder. Amazon's doing it right now. Eventually, other brands will work into it,
how to
reorder, and so on and so forth. But audio as a whole is a really powerful marketing channel.
Absolutely.
And podcasts, back when I first got an iPod, like way back in the day, iPod Nano. Before I even owned an Apple computer, got one, and podcasts were a real novelty back then.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And you had some of the bigger names doing them, but it wasn't like as extensive as it is now.
No.
And what do you think's changed in the podcasting space that has made it so that podcasts are so ubiquitous now for brands?
I mean, I think it's just the acceptance of it, ultimately. I think everybody knows what a podcast is. You can walk around and people understand what a podcast is, or, they at least know that they can go download these audio shows, if you will. Sometimes video. I mean, because you can as I've heard the term before, vodcast. And I think that's really what's made it ubiquitous. I think that everybody is doing it because it's easy too. I mean, doing an audio recording, pretty much every computer nowadays comes with some way that you can record your own voice, record your own audio, put it into a mix, and really quickly get it uploaded into your own podcast feed. So it's very easy to get set up and make it happen. So,
and it's inexpensive.
Oh, absolutely.
You think about it, with little more than your phone here. I mean, there's an awesome app you introduced me to, Anchor.
Yep.
Where basically you're just recording your podcast from your phone.
Yeah,
right?
So easy.
Yeah, I mean it's super easy.
Yeah.
And it's really powerful.
Yeah.
People will download that. The other great thing about it is, if you do a podcast like we're doing right now, being able to cut it up into snippets and use it in different pieces and parts. And I think it gets the point across, not as well as video does, but it gets the point across. But people don't have to be sitting there fixated to, whether it's this screen or computer screen or television screen.
Right.
They can be cleaning their house. They can be out running. They can be
driving down the
road.
Yeah.
Whatever they're doing, and be listening to it, consuming information. Yeah. I also think it's a really powerful medium for becoming an industry expert, right?
Yeah.
For showing your expertise.
Yeah. Because you can sit there and share all day. And, I kind of go back to, the other reason I think that this has become such a big deal is, I mean, let's face it, radio, like you said, they think the terrestrial stations are starting to go away to some extent. But what they've all done is they've turned to podcasting. So every time there's a radio show, they're turning that into a recorded podcast and then it's published out. And I think that's kind of the situation here, and becoming an expert, because you can get out there and you can create your own radio show. You can be just like those terrestrial stations. You can be just as big with just a little bit of effort, and you can get people listening to it. They can tell others, and it's just, word of mouth just spreads about what you're talking about. And I think it's just because it's so simple and so easy to get out there that you can have a voice. So,
and I think there's also, and let me ask you a question this way: do you think there's also this mystique that people in the mainstream media, people who have shown up on the news, who have radio shows, are somehow more expert at things than the rest of the world?
Well, sure.
It's perception, but it is reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think to some extent, yeah. I mean, just because you show up on a TV show or a radio show or something of that nature, it doesn't always necessarily mean that you're an expert, but somebody thinks you are, and so therefore, by association, you are.
Yeah.
So,
well, and you think about it. Television shows, for instance, most TV shows hire actors, hire actresses, write lines for them, and they speak the lines.
Yep.
So you think of the infomercial, right?
Yeah.
How many owners of these companies actually were out there and doing it? No, they hired these pitchmen.
Yep.
Right? Then I think the great thing about the podcasting world, the vlogging world, YouTube video is it's the actual experts out there talking about it.
Yeah.
And it's the people who are willing to put in the effort that are going to get the greatest return.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Because we hear it all the time. I don't have the time to do it, or I'm not comfortable doing that. Well, I hate to say it, in this world, we got to start becoming more comfortable with it, right? Or find somebody in our organization who is comfortable with it.
Yes. Because there's just instant gratification. There's expectations from this culture that they want what they want, and if you don't have it, they're going to move on. And so they want everything in the end.
Yeah.
Like, I think everybody wants everything. They want the audio. They want the video. They want every possible form of media to connect with you. And if you don't have it, next person.
Next person will.
So
well, but it's also, I think, that personalized experience.
Yeah.
People want the personal experience.
Yeah.
They're not into reading a bunch of words and taking you at your word. They're into seeing what you're saying.
Yeah.
They're into the proof in the pudding. It's, and we could sit here all day and write articles about how to podcast or how to live stream or, how to market.
Sure.
All right. The number of people who see those, minuscule. And the number of people who actually read through those, even more minuscule. A lot of it is you become fodder for the search engines. Yeah. Which more and more are going away from that as well.
And I'd throw out too, it's like, sure, there's going to be a few people that see it, and even fewer people actually read through it, but I'd say this, there's even fewer people that are going to believe us that we know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So you got to put your, proof where it's at. It's like, we're going to talk about podcasting. Well, stinking podcast, and that's kind of where we're at. But I think it's the same way for, we talk about a lot of our education clients, in these schools, and how does it kind of relate back to them. And I think it goes back to, they want these kids to ingest, all this media. They want them to know about what's going on and all this, but yet they're not really putting it out there in ways that they can ingest it. And so it's like, do you really want us to ingest this, or are you just saying it? That kind of same concept. Like, you're going to put it out on a blog, the recent updates for the university, but hey, why not put a little video chat or a little podcast out there of, hey, here's the updates this week, and hey, why not just tie it back to an Alexa skill?
Yeah, well, even more so, and I hate to say this about some people in education, they don't necessarily believe people are doing a whole lot more research, right? They don't necessarily believe that times have changed from 15 years ago, where you put up a television spot, or you put a lead-a-thon up. We used to call them career-a-thons.
Sure.
It was basically 3 commercials in a row that made it look like you were doing a telethon, and the leads would just flow in.
Right.
Consumer smarter.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And consumer, believe none of what you hear and only half of what you see.
Absolutely.
That's really it is, because I hate to say it, on the internet there's a lot of charlatans out there.
Oh yeah.
I think all of us have been burned a minimum of one time. We've all been taken for getting our credit card number stolen online. We've all gone and looked up information and found out it was wrong later. I mean, it's happened, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think there is a bit much more skeptical public.
Yeah.
And things like video, things like audio, and personalizing an experience more helps to build that level of trust.
Yeah. And
that relationship.
Yeah, and maybe I'm unique in some compared to some, but I research everything that I look at buying. I mean, down to the bread that I buy at the store to some extent. It's like I research everything, and then I go in for a bigger decision, bigger decision buy, and I get somebody coming at me with all these like details, and I'm sorry, but going back to school is a big decision, right? And so I'd research a lot on that, and going into it, they come at you with these ideas of like, oh, you're just kind of the lack of a better term, ignorant on the situation. You're just, wanting to go back to school and you have no idea what you're talking about or no idea all the details. No, that's not the case anymore. They've done their research. They know from A to Z what's going to happen. They have a better idea. They want to know from A to Z what's going to happen. And they're leery. I mean, they're just concerned. There's friction there. There's anxiety there if they don't know all the steps and able to just jump in it, because that's the ease. If they know all the steps, sharing that through things like podcasts, video casts, all that. Here's step A, B, C to get you enrolled, and now here's D, E, F, to get you to graduate, and here's from there to get you into grad class, whatever that step looks like. I think that's where a lot of the schools are missing, is they need to give all these details, more of the details in different formats. Don't give it all to them, because you still want them to inquire, right? You still want them to connect with you. But I think a lot of times that's where, they get scared. People get scared and don't want to, go after this. And I think that's a valid point, offering up some of these different mediums to offer up tidbits of this and ease the, the consumer into the purchase ultimately.
Yeah, totally. And, to kind of wrap this up, when I look at the way that schools can use audio, I think they need to start simple, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you start too big, people are not going to do it, or they're not going to do it consistently. And consistency is really the key to success in anything. If you put out one podcast and expect you are going to gain 1 million followers, not going to work, right? So
we wish.
So when I look at this, some of the things that I'd like to encourage people to do, waveform videos. There's some great tools out there. You don't need a developer. You don't need a videographer. You don't need an audio engineer.
Nope.
You need $10 and a website.
Yep.
Right? And that can get you up to 10 minutes of video.
Yeah.
Podcasting itself, using apps like Anchor and getting your channel set up there. And while you're driving to work in the morning, you could be doing your podcast right there on your phone. You can be sitting there like, hey, this is awesome. And it's streaming live. It's also out there forever. You can download it. You can put it on your website. So there's little things that you can do there. Using voice, or thinking about how do you create an Alexa skill which is actually useful.
Yes.
To answer questions, to help people move along the process. That's something that I'd like to encourage people to do. I heard a stat. There's only about 35 universities out there that have Alexa skills right now. It's going to be huge.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you're on the same field I am with Alexa skills. None of them are good.
No.
They suck right now. They're in their infancy.
Yes.
All it takes is one person to come along with a really great Alexa skill to, kind of change the game. And, with all of the great minds that are at universities, and you'd think that would be the place where some of this would come out of.
Yeah.
So there's a lot left to do with Alexa skills, especially on the education side. It can be used for lead gen. You can use audio in ads.
Yeah.
You can, do cinemagraphs with audio attached, which is more of which is a little bit different than the waveform, a little bit more involved, but still, I mean, it's something that you can do.
Well, I'd like to kind of throw this out and wrapping up too, is that, we're sitting here talking about this stuff, and you mentioned, it can be used in lead gen and all that. I think the other issue that a lot of the schools and all that get concerned about with these kinds of, mediums is, how's that directly driving a lead for me, right? And does it? Yes and no. And this is when I was, I went through some sales training years ago in my career, and one of the things I was taught during that time was, people buy from people they like. And so I think that's what we're doing here, is all these things build a likable institution, and so therefore, a prospective student then is like, oh yeah, I really like that place. They got some cool things happening. They got these events going on. The person behind the camera, behind the microphone is relatable, and I like that about them. And so guess what? Again, it takes away that anxiety. It takes away that friction. It makes it easier for them to ultimately inquire and be a lead for your school.
Well, it's also about giving people the right information at the right time in the right phase of their journey.
Absolutely.
Which is what we'll be talking more about on Thursday. Audio actually being just a small part of what we've got planned out, because we've got some awesome stuff planned for Thursday. And people aren't going to want to miss that.
No, not at
so
all.
if you haven't signed up yet, Thursday, March 1st, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 on the East Coast, 7 here in Central Time. We'll be having our live presentation from Vegas and from Kansas City.
Absolutely.
And we're really excited about it. We'll be giving away 6 fabulous prizes.
Yep.
3 live streaming kits.
Yeah.
3 SMS marketing campaigns for up to 3,000 leads.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
That'll be great. And we really want to kind of show people what to do in this. This isn't about us doing some huge sales pitch. This is about showing, not telling. Which is one of the reasons I brought that up with the audio piece.
Yeah.
We have to show people how powerful it is.
Yes.
If you don't show people, they're not going to believe the words coming out of your mouth.
Nope.
So you're going to learn a lot if you tune in on Thursday, and we hope you'll be there with us. So I don't have anything else. Randall, anything
just
for you?
follow the link. We'll post the link at some point. If you haven't seen it, it's on all of our social media. It's on our website. Just go to our website. It's in the header. That's the best place to find it. And make sure you RSVP for the event and get your opportunity at winning one of the prizes. Yeah, more the merrier. We've got a really big audience right now, but we want to grow that audience even more. More people we can help. Absolutely. The better. Yeah. So I see it grow. So all right. Awesome. Fantastic. Well, I guess that's it. I got to go turn it off now. Yeah, we got to turn it off. Donnie left us, right? I know. Let's hope it's still running. Looks like it. Okay.